A video by KTO, the most overhyped college football QBs of all time. Now Arch and DJ is in the thumbnail, so let's see where he going with this. I'm interested. But if you interested, make sure that you like this video and subscribe so I know that y'all want to see more sports content. I want to do more sports reactions over here, so that let me know. And I'll keep cranking out the sports videos. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Tanking that may happen. Now that part's serious. There could be multiple teams positioning themselves to get Arch Manning whenever it appears Arch Manning is coming out.
This is just crazy to look back on.
Look at the people up here with him. Look at the people up here with them. You want to know what they all have in common? They all played a full season. They all played a full season with their teams. And I mean, yeah, like we seen tape on them, extensive tape to be like, yeah, they should be like considered for the first overall pick. Arch Manning was playing scrubs and came in and spot like sometimes and playing in games. So what made you think that he should be worthy of the number one pick? I could see like if he played this season and then this came up, but come on, son, we know why. It's just a name, dog.
Prior to the 2025 college football season, Arch Manning was the favorite to go number one overall in the 2026 NFL draft according to sportsbooks. This easily makes him the most hyped up quarterback that many of us have ever seen, due to him serving as a backup the last two seasons. This
is for sure the most hype I've seen, like from a high schooler to college. Most hype I've seen. Like I've been around for RG3s and Marcus Mariota and Cam Newton, but this something else, because he like, I don't know what generation of Manning, but there's been couple generations of Mannings in the NFL, and it's like he the next up, he the next one that's gonna take him there. So first I've seen with something like this.
You know what? He should have played more, and had he played more, it's very possible that Texas would be the defending champion right now instead of Ohio State.
We saw takes like this all off.
Now I get it. That Texas team was talented. They was a playoff team. They was close to making it to a national championship. But Arch had shown nothing up until that point that made me think that he would have taken care of business versus Ohio State. Or Notre Dame to me. I don't think they would have beat Notre Dame. So that's all I'm saying. I feel like Penn State would have gave a run for their money, but we know Penn State don't win big games. Sorry if you're a Penn State fan, but Paul Feinbaum, this is extremely hyperbolic. You ain't seen nothing on tape. You a SEC homer. We know you is. To make us believe that Arch should have been playing in them games at any significant point. I get it. Quinn Ewers was hurt. That's the only case I'll make was Quinn Ewers' ankle was busted. That he should have played more. But come on now, man.
Season long. Yet, despite all the hype, it took just a couple weeks for people to start thinking, is Arch Manning even a starting level college quarterback?
5 for 16 and a pick, 69 yards versus UTEP. Do we see what elite QBs do to trash competition? They easily over 100 yards, maybe a touchdown if they ain't handed off to the running back on the goal line or something. That's pitiful. Pitiful.
What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to do a deep dive into a somewhat recent history of college quarterbacks who were extremely hyped up, but failed to live up to expectations. Now, with that said, 5-star recruits often fail. In fact, as many of you know from my top 10 videos, it happens all the time. So don't expect to see every 5-star quarterback who wasn't good in this video. I'll put a few names up on screen of guys who failed to live up to expectations that I did.
Tate Martell, dog. I don't know. I don't really. Maybe just because they would. I don't know. But I'm Tate Martell. He's supposed to be that dude.
Didn't cover in this video. We're going to be going in chronological order, working our way up to present day with not just Arch Manning, but all the 5-star quarterbacks from his class. It really makes you wonder how these guys are becoming 5-star recruits and who's grading them. But anyways, right now we are in the midst of the 2025 football season. And if you're a big-time college football fan, you know that the games are lit. And if you want to go to a game before the season's over, you can do it through Dad was training him since birth.
Shout out to him.
Perfect.
Hold on, let me.
Now let's get back to the video. In 1988, high school phenom Todd Marinovich was featured on the cover of California Magazine with the headline, quote, "Robo QB, the making of a perfect athlete," which detailed the kid's insane upbringing, where his dad was training him since birth to be the perfect quarterback. His dad, Marv, had been an NFL player whose career was harmed by his imperfect training methods. So he went all in for his kid, opening his own athletic research center and applying the knowledge he'd learned on his son. He once said, quote, "How well could a kid develop if you provided him the perfect training environment?" This included stretching his son as a baby, giving him a
I know this story, but like stretching him,
very strict diet all the way through high school, and he consulted as many as 13 experts on building the perfect training program. A few months after that Robo QB magazine came out, Sports Illustrated did a piece on the young quarterback titled "Bred to be a Superstar." The article declared Marinovich as America's first test tube athlete. In high school, Todd Marinovich was a phenom, setting the all-time high school passing yard record, and was named the National Player of the Year by multiple media outlets. But once he got to college, things got turbulent. He became the first freshman to start at USC since World War II. And to be honest, his first season was pretty good. However, his play became erratic due to personal difficulties in year 2. In what was expected to be a national title contending team with a Heisman Trophy quarterback, instead, USC lost critical games, and the most famous moment for Marinovich during the season was when he got into a yelling match with his coach on national TV. Despite the tough season, Marinovich was still viewed as an NFL quarterback and was selected in round 1 by the Raiders in 1991.
see, but all right. This ain't the first time we've seen troubled QBs or troubled players still get picked just because they talented. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna shoot people some bail. It's hard to win football games. So I don't know what exact games they lost, but you ain't got to win a national championship for you to be a successful QB. So let's see where it really went off the rails, because I already know he had some pressure from Daddy losing them games, and he missed them classes because, you know what I'm saying, Dad probably got on his ass for tanking that draft stock. But
things did not go well. Ultimately, the story of Todd Marinovich is a cautionary tale. He's had a very difficult post-football career with a long string of arrests and long-term substance abuse issues. There's actually a 30 for 30 that was made about him about 15 years ago, and if you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out.
And let me tell you something about Notre Dame. In the next 4 years, they're going to win the national title at least twice, and Ron Paulus will win the Heisman Trophy at least twice.
In 1993, Ron Paulus was supposed to become the best quarterback in Notre Dame history. Notre Dame had been an absolute powerhouse.
I ain't never heard of dog.
And in 1988, they had won the national championship. And ever since Lou Holtz took over, they had been a consistent top 5 program year in and year out.
I don't lie, they don't be making a gear like that no more. I don't like Notre Dame, but you know what I'm saying, the turtleneck, windbreaker, sweater, whatever that is, swaggy with the hat. You know what I'm saying? Lil Holtz was kind of, you gotta have that shit on.
Considering the magnitude of this program at the time and bringing in this level of a prospect in Ron Paulus, it's safe to say that people thought this team was going to dominate, like you heard. And they did not live up to expectations. Paulus suffered a broken collarbone prior to his freshman season, and once he recovered, he took over as the starter. The team began as the number 2 team in the AP poll in 1994, and they finished 6-5. Then over the next 3 seasons, Notre Dame was a decent team, but not in national title contention, and Paulus finished his career on an underwhelming note, going 7-6 as a senior with the worst numbers of his career. In the end, he was actually kind of decent. He set the all-time career records for passing yards and touchdowns. However, when you're expected to win multiple national titles and multiple Heismans, it's safe to say that he was overhyped. He went on.
Yeah, this kind of sound like our boy Arch, don't it? this for real. Besides like the Manning family stuff, this sound like your boy Arch, man. Go to the big time school that's a playoff team in Texas. You know, you're supposed to bring him to the Natty, potentially maybe a couple natties if you stay. But I don't know. It's history repeat itself.
On to go undrafted in 1998, and he would go on to be a practice squad quarterback in the NFL, and he even played in NFL Europe.
And the young man from Danville, California, Kyle Wright. They all say that Kyle Wright demonstrates great leadership characteristics, Gary.
In 2005, Kyle Wright was set to take Miami back to the national championship. In the early 2000s, the University of Miami was peak college football. In 2001, they produced one of, if not the greatest college football team of all time. They went on to win the national championship that year. And in 2002, they got back to the national title, but they lost to Ohio State. Well, in 2003, Canes fans had to be psyched when they landed the top pro-style quarterback in the country in Kyle Wright. The University of Miami was dubbed Quarterback U at the time, and Wright was possibly going to be the best of all of them. When he finally got his chance to start, he was pretty solid in 2005, leading the ACC in touchdown passes, which ramped up the expectations to another level in 2006.
Man, Miami got to go back to the Nike jerseys, dog. I don't like the Adidas shits. But that Miami team had all them damn NFL players. Like, they had backups. Like, the third stringers was NFL players. It's insane work, but I never heard of him. I watched the whole U documentary. It's probably a reason why they ain't mentioned dog, but...
That year, Wright was a preseason Heisman Trophy candidate, and the Canes were expected to be a national title contender. Only that didn't happen. Miami's chances of going back to the national championship were gone by Game 3 after a crushing loss to V-Tech, where Kyle Wright played poorly enough that his own fans booed him. Wright never captured the success he had his first season, and he went on to throw more interceptions than touchdowns in his final 2 years as Miami fell into obscurity. In 2007, the team finished 5-7, which was their most losses in a season since the 70s. Wright was not drafted into the NFL. Now, for this next player, when it comes to getting a big lesson in humility and getting served a slice of humble pie, man, there might not be a better example. In 2005, Ryan Perrilloux was seen as the heir apparent to Vince Young at Texas. The high school phenom was expected to keep the Longhorns in national title contention, only it never happened because he changed his mind on signing day and committed to LSU. Infamously, Perrilloux held a press conference when he signed to LSU, and he said that as a true freshman, he was going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Come on, son. Come on, man. Honestly, at that time, Texas coming off the national championship, maybe if you went to Texas, you would have had a better chance. I'm just saying. And he laid the groundwork. He left the blueprint there for you to just want to do their own thing.
The following question was saying something along the lines of, they already have Jamarcus Russell, what about him? And Perrilloux responded, Jamarcus who? Well...
And Jamarcus Russell was a dog. See, I didn't even know this was the same time period. I was very young at this point, but Jamarcus Russell... See, if you're in the NFL, Jamarcus Russell is not the college Jamarcus Russell, because dog, they say he could throw it like 50 yards on one knee or something like that, and then cut down. So I already know where this is going. He was on the bench.
As a true freshman, he did not win the Heisman Trophy, and in year 2, he threw 3 passes all year as the third string quarterback. So safe to say that his first claim did not come true. In year 3, things didn't change all that much. He actually served a suspension for some off-the-field issues, and he served as the team's backup for the most part. He would see action in a few games that season, which included stepping in for an injured Matt Flynn in the SEC Championship, and actually showing promise in that game. However, constant off-the-field issues and violating team rules led Perrilloux to being kicked off the team prior to the 2008 season. After 3 tough seasons at LSU, Perrilloux transferred to lower division Jacksonville State, and there he actually did have some success. But whenever a 5-star recruit has to transfer to a lower division school, it's safe to say that they were overhyped. Perrilloux
went to Texas Cub, but like, I mean, if he ain't, Texas probably has somebody right after Vince Young. If not, like, I don't know, bro. Like, if this was this where I think time periods help the most, because if this had been present day and he in that situation, he in the portal in the spring, going somewhere else, probably going to Texas. Probably go. Yeah, I don't know. He could have went somewhere else though. Is all I'm saying. The transfer rules back then, you got to sit out a year, and this and that, which you probably should have did. But hey, you could have saved yourself a 3 wasting 3 years at LSU, leaving after your freshman year, sitting out your sophomore year. Red shirt, you probably could have had 3. So I don't know. I don't know what Dog was thinking. I don't know what the situation was, but hey.
Undrafted in 2010. And for Texas, it's safe to say that they got the last laugh in the recruiting process.
Not Colt McCoy. Yeah, okay.
Their backup plan for Perilou when they recruited him ended up being Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Colt McCoy, back in 2010, some of you may remember the national championship where he got injured, and backup Garrett Gilbert had to come in versus Alabama in what was basically just about the toughest situation you could ever ask a true freshman backup to try and handle.
First
Although
quarter.
He had some rough turnovers that day, he found his rhythm in the second half, and by the fourth quarter, he was playing well, and he had brought Texas within 3, and they had a chance to go win the game, but they just couldn't get it done. Regardless, Colt McCoy was gone after that season, and people were feeling pretty good about the state of Texas football, because when they had gotten Garrett Gilbert out of high school, he was considered one of the greatest quarterbacks in the country. When he was in high school as a sophomore, one coach said that he was the greatest quarterback he had ever seen. And during his recruitment as a senior, Jackie Sherrill, a college coach, said that he was the best quarterback he had seen since Dan Marino. So it's safe to say the bar was pretty high for Garrett Gilbert.
The hell was he doing in college
Texas
or high
began
school?
2010 in the top 5. And
He got to look like Brett Favre a little bit. No? Yeah? No? Let me know in the comments.
after starting 3-0, things completely fell off the rails. The Longhorns finished 5-7, their worst finish in 14 years. Gilbert threw 10 touchdowns and 17 interceptions in a season he and Texas fans were hoping to quickly forget. The game fans probably remember most is when he threw 5 interceptions versus Kansas State. The following year, after a couple of games, Gilbert was demoted to backup, and he would never play at Texas again. He would transfer after the season to SMU, and for 2 years, he was an up-and-down starter. Despite not having a great college career, Gilbert still had NFL talent, and he was drafted in the 6th round, and he went on to have a decent career as a backup. And technically, he's a Super Bowl champion because he was the Patriots practice squad quarterback in 2014. In 2005, Mitch Mustang was the most heralded recruit in Arkansas State history. He was so special that not only did he win National Player of the Year, but he was also Scout.com's top high school recruit above guys like Matt Stafford and Tim Tebow. He was such a legend in high school that the mayor of the city he grew up in made December 6th Mitch Mustang Day in the city. Also, the University of Arkansas hired...
You gotta shout out Gus Malzahn. Ugly dude. But yeah, he must have he must have been snapping in high school. Then you get a day. What was he doing? Did they shut the city down when he had a game?
His high school head coach Gus Malzahn as the new offensive coordinator. Talk about the ultimate recruiting tactic. This definitely influenced Mustang to go to Arkansas, as well as 6 of his high school teammates. He took over as a freshman, and the team was awesome, but it was almost entirely because of their incredible running backs. Mustang wasn't quite the passer the team had hoped. Despite winning all 8 of his starts, he was barely averaging over 100 passing yards per game. Then he was benched versus South Carolina, and never started again for the program. Instead, head coach Houston Nutt decided to roll with Casey Dick at quarterback. In other words, Nutt chose Dick.
See Dick. Hey, this no.
Anyways, Mustang chose to leave after the season. Gus Malzahn had found a new school to go to, and Mustang transferred to USC. But after he got to USC, he did not win the team's starting job. He ended up being the 3rd string quarterback. And just to try to find playing time, he ended up trying out at punter, but he didn't get the full-time gig. Over the 3 years he was at USC, Mustang got very little playtime and ended up kind of just drifting into obscurity.
I wish they explain, like, I get it, maybe he just wasn't that good, but like, why didn't he win the role, or like what didn't translate? Because if I could see the stats, like when the first thing I see is him running. So maybe it was the system. Because Gus Malzahn is known for having some mobile QB run game, stretching you sideline to sideline, a lot of misdirection. So I'm wondering, like, because that's a scheme he should have fit in unless he was running something else. But I just wondered, like, if I could see the whole story, how it played out. Like, what he do? How bad was the camp tape? How bad was practice? Or when he got in the game, what was going on? Or they just couldn't measure up. Because you know what? Maybe I think about, because everybody high school tape be crazy. What if it's just the competition that he was playing? He was just frying them. And then they get to the big stage where everybody on their equal footing, and then they just average.
Meanwhile, the guy who was rated below him, Tim Tebow, had become the craziest story in college football. From 2006 to 2009, Tim Tebow was a sensation at Florida, having won the Heisman Trophy and was a part of 2 national championships. During his dominant reign at Florida, his successor-to-be was also a Florida high school legend, John Brantley. Brantley had won the 2006 Gatorade National Player of the Year, and also he had broken Tebow's state record for touchdown passes. He arrived at the University of Florida in 2007, and from 2007 through 2009, he was the backup to Tim Tebow, and for those years, there was some serious hype for him as the backup. Phrases like second best quarterback in the conference behind Tebow were thrown around. Well, after Tebow went to the NFL, the Gators began the 2010 season ranked as the number 4 team in the country, with Brantley under center.
God, them helmets was crazy, bro. I don't know why. But, yeah, man. This is the fall, because I think Urban was out of there after this.
And after starting 4-0, things turned sour. Florida got crushed by Alabama, then lost to LSU. Then for the 3rd straight week, lost again, this time to Mississippi State on a day they only scored 7 points. Brantley had a rough go at it during these games. He had 0 touchdowns and he threw 4 interceptions. And the team finished 8-5 in the end. And this ended up being Urban Meyer's final season at Florida.
Yeah, so just stay into that shit. It was over with, man. I don't know if he was mobile or not, but you know what I'm saying? That spread, you need somebody with some wiggle. And I was judging by that knee brace, he couldn't move. So, sorry.
2011 began the Will Muschamp era, and 2011 was brutal. This ended up being their worst season since 2004, and Brantley would finish his career as the guy who did not live up to expectations after the Tebow years. He and Florida fell into obscurity by the end of 2011. In 2013, similar to the Tebow years in Gainesville, the hype at Texas A&M during the Johnny Manziel years were off the charts. And following his departure to the NFL, the Aggies looked to continue their success with Kyle Allen. Allen was a 5-star recruit and the best pro-style quarterback in the country coming out of high school. By all accounts, the transition from Manziel to Allen was going to be
Now I know how this went, because I know who was there, who came in that same recruiting class, or right after that.
legendary. Well, in 2014, he started as the backup to Kenny Hill, but quickly took over the starting job. And he actually had some good moments. Against number 3 Auburn, Allen had 4 touchdowns in what ended up being an upset victory. And for the most part, his freshman year was promising. It wasn't quite the Manziel level of play that we had seen, but there were some things to be hopeful about. However, despite starting 5-0 in 2015, Allen's performance versus Alabama was a brutal reality check for him and the Aggies. He threw 3 pick-sixes in that game. Then later, versus Ole Miss, he completed just 35% of his passes for just 88 yards in a blowout loss. Allen was benched and transferred following the season. In fairness to Allen, he suffered an AC sprain against Alabama, and he tried to tough through it, which, looking back, he probably shouldn't have done.
It is such a
And in the end, even after he went to Houston, he just never quite became the quarterback that people thought he was going to be. He only started a handful of games for them after performing poorly in 2017. Perhaps the craziest part of this story is that despite his performance, he still left school early for the NFL. Then he went undrafted. And yet, to this day, he is still in the NFL, currently in his 8th season. He's mostly been a backup.
He on the Lions, gang. I know where you at, cuz. I know where you at. Yeah, but I was following Texas A&M after Johnny Manziel was gonna do it, because I was like, they got this guy, and now he a backup for the Lions. I mean, he took Hendon Hooker's spot. Well, they took in, I don't know what round they took Hendon Hooker in, but hey.
But still, it's pretty crazy to go from a 5-star bust to a longtime pro. In 2020, Clemson still had Trevor Lawrence leading the way, but they were feeling great about who they had as his successor, the former 5-star DJ Uiagalelei. Listed at 6'4" and 245 pounds, DJ got his first action in 2020 when Lawrence ended up testing positive for COVID and was out for a few weeks. And in his absence, DJ performed well. He led a comeback victory versus Boston College, then he threw for over 400 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Notre Dame. So after Lawrence left for the NFL, Clemson was supposed to be great. They were ranked number 3 to start the season, and DJ was going to take over college football. That was the expectation. However, that did not happen. On opening day versus Georgia, DJ played poorly. Clemson ended up losing 10-3, and the only touchdown of the game was a pick 6 thrown by DJ. He went on to throw more interceptions than touchdowns, as Clemson fell out of national title contention after their 3rd loss of the season. In 2022, DJ improved, but not enough to hold onto his starting job. He was benched during the ACC championship game, and subsequently entered the transfer portal the following day. DJ spent a year at Oregon State, where he did well enough to come back to big-time college football, so he transferred again, this time to Florida State. And Florida State was coming off that season where they had started 13-0 before Jordan Travis's injury, so this team was expected to be good, and they brought in DJ to hopefully keep that train rolling. That did not happen with DJ, though. In 5 starts, he struggled mightily, and...
Yeah, man. See, what happened was... To give it some more context, he went to Oregon State in a Jonathan Smith system where they was pounding the rock. What's a quarterback's best friend? The run game. So when they was pounding said rock, made everything easy for DJ. You go down to Florida State, they run a totally different program. They ask you to do a lot more at the quarterback position. Jordan Travis was everything for that Florida State team. And when he left, you could tell he was everything because ain't nobody come fill them shoes. The closest thing they got to that was like a diet version and Tommy Castellanos. Because I don't even think he could throw the ball as good as Jordan Travis. But that's neither here nor there. I just don't think it was a good fit for him in Florida State, and that tanked him. Tanked him. So now I don't know where he at. Somebody practice squad somewhere, but I know he was with the Chargers for a little minute, hot minute.
He ended up being benched, and the team finished 2-10. After he went undrafted and later scored a touchdown in a preseason game, his dad blasted FSU. He reposted a tweet blaming FSU for his son's failures. Now, DJ is on the Chargers practice squad.
Nah, he's still with the Chargers.
So now we arrive to today, and the current situation that we have with not just Arch Manning, but all of the 5-star quarterbacks from that 2023 high school class. Let's run through all of them really quickly. The number 1 recruit in the country was Malachi Nelson. Nelson ended up throwing 3 passes at USC, then transferred to Boise State, where he served as the backup, and now he's at UTEP. The number...
Bro, you should have just stayed at USC. You should have just stayed at USC.
2 recruit was Dante Moore. Moore struggled at UCLA.
Hold on, G. I can't let that... I don't know what you about to say, but I can't let you get that off. He should have just went to Oregon off the rip. Chip Kelly was trying to revitalize this UCLA team. I think he should have just went to Oregon, chill for a year, then played, bro, because he a dog. UCLA, we see what UCLA been doing since he left. It ain't been pretty. Like, they on their 3rd head coach who are interim right now. So I just think that was... It just wasn't the proper fit for Dante Moore, so I gotta shoot him some bail. Because if he leave after this year he having at Oregon, if it finished the way I think it's gonna finish, he could be one of the top quarterbacks off the board. I think he could leapfrog a lot of dudes. So I'm gonna let him speak his piece now.
Then transferred to Oregon, where he served as Dylan Gabriel's backup, and now he's a starter and actually playing well. The number 3 recruit was Jackson Arnold. Arnold was out. He
ain't go too hard on him, but Jackson Arnold getting his second life with Auburn. Oklahoma was hurt last year, so I don't know. These dudes still got a chance. I ain't saying they're gonna be the next guys in the NFL, but they got a chance.
Oklahoma for 2 years and ultimately got benched in 2024. He's now at Auburn. And finally, the number 4 quarterback and 5th overall recruit from 2023 was Arch Manning. Despite being the 4th-ranked quarterback of that class, Arch is by far and away the most popular. For the previous 2 years, everyone wanted to see this guy play, and every time he got into the game, the crowd went nuts. He actually performed well when filling in for the starter, specifically versus Mississippi State in 2024. But in 2025, the hype clearly was not warranted. Everyone guaranteed this guy was going to be the best quarterback in the country and future #1 overall pick, but there are some glaring issues in his game currently.
And I just watch Arch, I just go, he doesn't have a great feel for the position. And then his physical attributes aren't great either. So it's like, what's he really doing?
Who is this dude? I do think Arch Manning got physical gifts, but I think he is thinking too much. I think the pressure is getting to him. I think the hype is actually getting to him. Because this is one of them things where I'm like, I know you know how to throw the ball. I know you have some ability to move around, but it's just something. Maybe he needs a sports therapist or something. I'm not fully off him. I just don't think Texas is the place for him to be anymore. And I don't know what place. I don't know if he'll actually even leave Texas. So we'll see. We'll see, man.
And in fairness, he didn't create any of this. It was all the media. The media created this hype because of his name.
People have noted his ugly throwing motion, lack of accuracy, and lack of feel when in the pocket. And it really makes you wonder, did Steve Sarkisian see this coming over the last 2 years and just couldn't do anything about it? But hey, just because you don't live up to the hype immediately doesn't mean you can't be successful. Look at one of our previous examples, Kyle Allen. He was never as good as he was expected to be in college. And despite that, he has still carved out a long pro career, making millions in the process.
Allen, looking left, back in the end zone, Greg Olsen, touchdown again.
Good video, man. Like I said, if you want to see more sports content, make sure that you like and subscribe. Without further ado, I'm going to get us up out of here. Cool.